Alright guys, today we're going to do a natural dirt with the Dirt Devil Ultra Vision Turbo. This thing, I recently refurbished it, but it's kind of been sitting around, so it doesn't really look as good as it did. I did just wipe it down. And I did use it a couple times, so it's a little bit dirty. For some reason, one side of the bin is super yellowed and the other side isn't. I don't know what's up with that. So I'm assuming it sat by a window and this part got really sun bleached or something. Or it's been like that since it was new and it was like a manufacturing defect. Has all the attachments because the guy I bought the Bissell Power Force bagless 6594 from the Y Path one. He sent all the attachments for this and that cool bag conversion thing for the Wind Tunnel V2, which of course is a Dirt Devil, so I gotta put it in upside down. It still kind of smells like oil, because I think when I oiled up the end bearing, a little bit got onto the commutator. A lot of people like putting oil on the commutator. I don't know why. It's not a very smart idea, because it just kind of turns into a nasty sludge. But, yeah. But the little bit that got on there isn't really going to hurt anything. It just kind of stinks for a minute. I let it run one day for like 10 minutes without even vacuuming. I just let it run. I also replaced the light bulb. I actually redid the wiring for the headlight because that was kind of intermittent. Sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. But yeah, here we go. I think that belt is starting to burn too. These things are known for shredding through belts. And it takes a funky belt. I think I have one left. God damn you. I still need to fix that pedal release. I picked up some stuff. All that was really in there was that packing peanut. And that sheetrock junk, and that wrapper. But the rest of that is from in here. Very easy bin to install. Pedal releases, seen better days. I don't know what the original owners did to it. It's not the spring, it's the two pieces that hold it in place that are all messed up, which is almost impossible to break, but they managed. I also got this thing. This is a Dirt Devil Swivel Glide, one of the slightly newer ones with the similar base to this one, actually, with the kind of very big pumper, and they're both the same width, but the brush roll on this won't work. The belt guides don't line up, so the part where the belt goes on this doesn't line up with where the belt needs to go on that. So finding a brush roll for this one's been really hard because it kind of takes a funky brush roll, or maybe it's this one that takes a funky brush roll, I don't know. Unfortunately, when you're, like on eBay looking for brush rolls for something like this or something like that, yeah, they tell you what it's for, but if you wanted to be sure, you can't because they don't put the measurements down, which is really handy for those sellers that do that. I will show you guys that this thing does run. It's very lightweight. I took it down to the motor and I didn't connect the headlight wire, so the headlight doesn't work. This isn't broken. The power switch works. there's actually no nicks in the cord, surprisingly. The hose was missing, and unfortunately, the base plate and the brush roll is missing. So, quite a few pieces missing, but otherwise, it's actually in fairly decent condition. I mean, there's not much scratches on the sides. The bag chamber actually wasn't that dirty. That filter was dirty, and it kind of fell apart when I washed it. Because I don't think you're supposed to wash those, but it smelled kind of doggish. Something's not quite right here. I think this handle is almost like bent or something, because this bag door always, you know, like gets bound up on the handle. No attachments, of course. There is an extra belt storage spot, of course, because it's a Daredevil. Go ahead and wrap this one up. Actually, I won't bore you guys with that. I made kind of a temporary hose for this one, just so I can make sure it had suction, and it does suck stuff up just fine. But yeah. And it actually works. I mean, you don't get much length, but you can, you know, just popped off. You don't get much length, but it does, you know, reach all the way there. My electrical tape doesn't want to hold on here. That's right. This doesn't need to be on there for that long anyways. I just gotta find a hose. Gotta find a hose, and honestly, if I can get this to stay on, I'm honestly fine with it, because I never use the hose. I just need to mostly find a base plate and a brush roll, and I would like to find a hose, because this looks stupid. But not as stupid as when the hoses get really worn out on those 6583s, and then it's like all floppy. This honestly looks a little bit more tidy, at least. Has the same exact wrapping spot as the Ultra Vision Turbo. Basically just the bagged version of it. They're both pretty, you know, heavy duty. Well, not really. Obviously, the Ultra Vision Turbo is heavier, and I think the Ultra Vision Turbo cleans better by a long shot. But that one actually goes in normally, and I think that's because this is not the original cord. This actually looks like it came off of a Bissell. If any of you Bissell guys know, that literally looks exactly like the ones that would have came on like the 71Y7. I think that's the same exact one my 71Y7 has. But I'll show you guys that it runs okay. Yeah, it actually has a decent wind down. It's a long wind down, but I don't hear any bearing noise, so. Yeah. And honestly, when I started out of the motor, I was very pleased to find that there was, like, no dust. But when I got this, it had a lot of water on it from sitting out in the rain. So I wanted to make sure there was no water on the motor and stuff. But yeah, it was actually fairly clean. This whole thing was fairly clean. I don't know if that bag check indicator is working. I did clean it out, but I don't know if it does indeed work. This thing actually has a decent rubber seal going around the bag door. Some decent features that, you know, kind of makes me wonder why people hated on these particular machines so much. I hear a lot of bad stuff about these Swivel Glides. Like motor failure. I've yet to see one of these. I've heard them with, like, not so great sounding motors, but I've never heard them get as bad as, like, here, I'll run the Bissell Power Groom for you, which has honestly been babied for most of its life. And just, you know, something that, this has a quote-unquote cyclone. That's after 2 uses. See, most of that crap just fell into the motor. So, not a great design. I did add an extra rag to kind of help catch stuff. That's after 2 uses. For no excuses reason, this thing you can use for months at a time, and that filter never gets that dirty. I don't know if I've done any videos. Yeah, I have. At least one video with this. But this thing is kind of like the Daredevil in a way that it's actually really decently built. It's got to have a bag in it. Everything, you know, is nice and fit and finished. It's very, you know, sturdy feeling. Nothing really bends that much. It's got a nice hose on it. cleans fairly well. And, you know, this thing, no bendy, no, you know, just crappy feeling. Besides, I don't like these Swivel Glide wheels because, I mean, I'm, like, pushing straight right now. And those Swivel Glide wheels do need some work. They're kind of rusty. Same with this thing. Besides that foot release, which I don't think was a manufacturing issue. I think it was something that they did. But that doesn't move. The handle doesn't really move. The only thing moving is the hose, really. But yeah, and this has a nice headlight where it's actually on the base, so it actually lights up the floor, not the ceiling. But listen to this thing. This thing is a 2011, I believe, and was babied most of its life and really has no excuse to sound like this. And that's after being stripped down to the motor and cleaned maybe a year ago now, and just the time that I've used it, it already sounds like that again. And you guys should know me well enough that I don't abuse my vacuums. So that is from me using it in there and there. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for more. Peace.